Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Father-Son Packers podcast, your source for Packers news, notes, and analysis. My name is Tommy, and I'm one of your hosts, and I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, my dad, Matt. Dad, how you doing?
Doing good. Got a fresh haircut today. Too good looking for video today, folks. I'm sorry, we just can't.
I also got a fresh haircut today.
Gonna break the internet.
Totally unplanned. Yeah, this is why we don't do video, because it's too much. It's too much for the viewers. We have to be audio only. But anyway, we are here today to preview the Packers Week 6 matchup against the Bengals. Packers coming off a bye week. Bengals coming off a loss to the Lions. We're going to talk all about that. Before we get into any of that, though, just wanted to pitch a couple of things. If you like what you hear today, subscribe, whether that's Apple, Spotify, YouTube, tell a friend, leave a review, leave a comment, tell a stranger on the street, just shout it from the rooftops. I don't know. Just spread the word.
If you want to get a soapbox and, wear one of those like old timey sawhorses over your shoulders.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I thought you just meant like one of the signs, like the end is near, but like listen to Father-Son Packers. Like I'll take one of those too.
Exactly.
But anyway, check us out on Blue Sky at Father-Son Packer for, updates on Packers news, updates on, when we have new episodes out, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. One-stop shop and everything Titletown. But, Dad, I think that does it for the spiel. Should we just get right into it and start off with the news, I suppose? So we're recording this on Tuesday, October 7th in the evening. Our schedule's kind of aligned, so we had to do it a little earlier in the week. So we won't have an official injury report, but we will have at least some practice reports from the Packers, which is at least some information, I suppose, we could pass on. Before we get to that, though, a couple news items. The first big one is that the Bengals, who the Packers are playing this week, in case I forgot to mention that, have traded for Browns quarterback Joe Flacco, which I think you put this tidbit in as like the first trade between those teams since the Browns came back to the NFL in 1999, which is interesting that a quarterback would get traded in division in the middle of a season. That's like unheard of. I don't know if I've ever seen anything like that even happen.
I feel like he turned around and beat the Bengals twice.
Yes, and it would be
for the Bengals beat the Browns.
Yes, but it would also be equally hilarious and sad if we lost to Joe Flacco twice in one season on two different teams. Would be terrible.
That'd be mad.
And you were saying before this, and we'll talk all about that, that Adam Schefter has reported that the plan is for Flacco to start this weekend. So it sounds like it's going to be him and not Jake Browning, based on that Schefter report. So we got all that. The other piece of news is, so we'll get to this when we get to the injury report, but Devontae Wyatt is still not practicing. And according to Jason Hirschhorn, Green Bay worked out 5 different defensive tackles on Monday. Tommy King-Bisote, Anthony Campbell, Keandre Coburn, Fabian Levet, and Omari Thomas, all of whom, worked out with the Packers. So it looks like the Packers are looking to add some bodies to that room because we are thin there right now. And I'll talk about that when we get to like our key, like things to watch for this game. But the defensive tackle group is a little shaky right now, which we kind of knew a bit coming into the year, but with Wyatt out, it's like really shaky.
Yeah, and I haven't heard any news if any of them have been signed. So that workout was yesterday. And there's sort of a mix. Some of them seem to be like big enough to be sort of nose tackle size, but a lot of them a couple are maybe more like 3-tech size. So I can't exactly tell for sure what they're going for here.
They're going for bodies is what they're going for. They're going for anyone with a pulse.
Could you stand
play
up?
Defensive
How big
tackle.
are you? Could you stand up and now shuffle 3 steps to your left?
Yeah, we'll talk all about that. But anyway, let's move on to the injury report. And there's no official report, like we said, we're recording this Tuesday evening, but we did get a couple pieces of good news. Now, I did mention the bad news is that Wyatt is not practicing yet, but Christian Watson is back practicing, which is kind of shocking to me. I was definitely expecting it to be later in the year. Now, that doesn't mean he's like going to play this weekend necessarily, but him being back practicing this soon is like very good news. So both him and Jacob Monk are both back practicing and could be activated for this week, but I would be surprised if that was the case. But they are both back, so that's some awesome news. Not yet, though, for the other guys who are on IR, which is like Marshawn Lloyd, Brenton Cox, and then the guys on PUP like John Williams and Colin Oliver. And then according to Mike Spofford, some other, good news is that both Zach Tom and Aaron Banks and Nate Hobbs all practiced on Monday, although Anthony Belton and, like we said, Wyatt did not. So, Dad, takeaways, I mean, do you think they will try to play Tom and Banks this week, or do you think they're going to give them like an extra week? Because last time it did not go well. They did not finish the game.
It did not go well for Tom last time. He made it through one play.
Well, I guess Banks had a separate injury, but he also did not finish the game against the Browns.
Right. He had the same result, but seemed to be a different situation. They've had a decent amount of time to rest, I guess. though I don't know what we expected from the beginning. The fact that they're practicing on the first possible day of the week is a good sign, but because they don't have to give us an injury report, we don't know if they're limited or full, but they're just out there. We won't know until Wednesday at the earliest if any of those practices are going to be full practices this week.
Yeah, and I mean, neither Banks or Tom have made it through a game yet. Like, both got hurt in week 1, and then both tried to come back against the Browns, and both did not finish the game against the Browns. So it's like, maybe you just want to be extra careful. It's tough, though, because the offensive line is very in flux, and was better against the Cowboys, like we said when we did our breakdown of that one. If you want to go listen to that, it's in the queue. But still not amazing, right? Like, we still need those guys back, and I mean, we need Banks to also play better, but like, that's a different issue.
Yeah, and we need at least one good blocker, though we don't know necessarily where that's going to be for Trey Hendrickson.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we'll talk about it later, but I would like no Jordan Run moments in this game, please. Thank you. And then in terms of the Bengals injury report, the big one is just it's unknown yet if Shamar Stewart, who was their first round pass rusher, who missed last week with an ankle injury, it's just unknown yet if he's going to be available for this week. Is going to be the big one to keep an eye on for them. Anything else that stood out to you from the injury report that you wanted to touch on? Obviously, I mean, it's good news that Wyatt's not on IR, but the fact that he's not back practicing yet, I mean, they did say he was week to week. I mean, it's just going to be kind of like, when is he back, you know?
Yeah, I would be a little surprised if he is able to play this week. And then for Hobbs, I assume he's in concussion protocol. I mean, they took him out of the game.
But it has been over a week, so you'd think he's like working his way out of it now, right?
I mean, if he's on the field doing any activity, you got to advance to a certain
be close,
stage,
close to out of it at least.
That. So maybe there's a decent chance he's able to play.
Well, fingers crossed on that one. But let's move over to just some facts about this game. I think that covers it for the information that we have on the injuries, at least as of right now.
Which is minimal and speculative.
Minimal,
so
and
everything.
The two best things.
Everything
exactly.
you want here.
Yeah. But the game is going to be in Green Bay on Sunday at 3:25 Lambeau time. The Packers are currently 14-point favorites with an over-under of 44.5 for an implied score of about 29-15 Green Bay. I don't know about you. That feels big. That feels like a massive spread. I'm a little surprised it's that high.
Yeah, I did hear 14.5. I don't know if that earlier. I don't know if that was on the same site. So there may have already been movement.
I've seen 14.5. I've seen it like kind of in both places. It depends where you look, but like it's around there, which like 2 touchdowns like as a spread is like a lot. And I get that, you know, the Bengals have not looked inspiring the past few weeks and the Packers are coming off a bye, but I am surprised it is that high of a spread is all I will say. In terms of the storylines for these two teams, I think it's for the Bengals. It's like, can they keep their season relevant long enough to get Burrow back at some point? Because, you know, he is going to miss most of the season with that toe injury. They're coming off 3 straight losses after winning their first 2 games. So, you know, they're struggling right now, which is a big reason why they traded for Joe Flacco. And then on the Packers side, I guess like my storyline for the Packers is like, can we be a serious team? Like, can we win the games we're supposed to win? Because after starting the season fantastically against the Lions and the Commanders, you went out and you blew the game against the Browns. We blew the game against the Browns. And then like game against the Cowboys, which like is supposed to be, because we talked that week. I was like, that Browns loss is either going to be like a galvanizing moment and like everyone's going to lock in, or it's going to be like a, oh no, like we're having problems, like there's a fracturing. And then you come out and you have a 40-40 tie, and I honestly couldn't tell you which one it was. Like, when you tie afterwards, I'm like, I don't know what it was then. Because really, you should have come out and stomped the Cowboys. But, like, Dak Prescott, like, kind of just went out of his mind. So it's like, okay, like, that'll happen sometimes when you're playing a quarterback that good. But, like, you really should have won that game after getting the wake-up call against the Browns. And so now, if you come out after a bye, after 2 games you should have won and you went 0-1, and you don't go out and beat the Bengals, there are going to be problems. And I'm going to have some problems. I need us to win this game.
If they don't beat the Bengals, that'll be a problem. It's like the Cowboys game. It's like, you know, they got the wake up call, hit the snooze button on that one.
Yeah, exactly.
But the Bengals are bad.
Yeah.
And if they lose at home to the Bengals, that'll be one of the worst losses.
Yes.
Of the last
off a bye.
Years.
Off a bye. But the
that
thing
would be
is,
five alarm fire because
and you lose to Joe Flacco twice in a 4-week span. That would be a nightmare.
In the year of our Lord 2025.
I know, right? But I will say, like, it's a cornered animal game for the Bengals. I mean, they've lost 3 straight.
Yeah,
like,
we talked about this. Like, yeah, there's cornered animal. There's like cornered leopard.
I know what you're saying.
Rat,
like
cornered slug.
But they have talent on their team. Like, there's some talent there.
Players.
Like, it's not like a total like ghost town. Like, they have good players, and we're going to talk all about that. But I think the narrative for the Packers is like absolute must win, need to win convincingly game. Like, need to win convincingly.
See, I want the Packers to go like full, BCS.
Just nuke them. Just like 40-0. Like, we need to run the score up.
The computer
run
model
the score up, please. But like I don't even care about what the final score is. It just needs to be convincing. Like, this cannot be a game where you let the Bengals hang around. This cannot be a game where it's back and forth. Like, you need to come out of the bye and make a statement that, hey, we're the team from the first 2 weeks, not weeks 3 and 4. Like, that's what I need Green Bay to do this week. But I guess that brings us over to our important stats for this game. The key matchups, key stats, like things that stood out to us in our prep. Dad, do you want to start us off with the first one you were taking a look at, I'll say?
Yeah, so I wanted to look at this whole, how much does Flacco move the needle? The idea is that he's going to start like 5 days or whatever, 5 days of prep with a new team.
And I will say that does kind of, it throws a wrench in, like, hey, probably over the bye week, you were probably prepping for Browning for a whole week.
This is probably true.
And now you're probably going to have to pivot, and none of that stuff really like mattered as much.
But they've already prepped for Flacco.
That is also true, but different context. So like,
yeah, but they prepped for the rest of the.
I see what you're saying.
They prepped for the rest of the Bengals this week, and they've already
Flacco the other week, and they just need to merge the prep together. But anyway,
right.
Sorry. What would you say the big differences are between the two?
Well, in some ways, there's not a whole lot. It's
numbers wise are like similar, but I will say stylistically they are different quarterbacks.
Yeah, but in terms of the numbers, there's not a lot separating. Yeah, one thing about Flacco, he's not running.
No,
he's never.
Browning will run around a little. Flacco is not moving.
So according to our BSDM, Flacco actually has a worse composite EPA per play plus completion percentage over expected score than Browning. Flacco's 33rd in the league. Compared to Browning's 30th. So
I was going to say, I'm pretty sure they're both under 30, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it's like, and that's with I think 35 qualifying quarterbacks or something.
Yeah.
So they're both near rock bottom.
Yeah.
Flacco has a
must-win game. Must-win game.
Flacco has a slightly better turnover-worthy play percentage at 3.2%. He's 22nd in the league out of whatever is like 37 QBs. And Browning is at 4.3%. So he's second to last, 36 out of 37. For both of them, this turnover-worthy play percentage has gotten much worse when they're under pressure. Browning becoming still second worst, but going up to 8.2%. And Flacco now going to 6.6%, becoming 7th worst. So they're bad.
They have been bad. They have turned the ball over a lot. They've been under pressure a lot, which I'll talk about in a second. Like, there are weaknesses to their games that the Packers should be able to exploit, and that the offensive line of the Bengals should exacerbate.
Yeah, they're when they're under pressure, their PFF passing grade is in the 40s. So, median is
like 60. Yeah, 40 is
and their
really bad.
Passer rating, is in the 30s when they're under pressure. So, how a good passer rating is like 100?
Well, I think a passer rating of like spiking the ball in the dirt every time is like 38.
30,
like,
so 30, it's like 36, 39?
Yeah, it's somewhere in the high 30s. So like to be in the 30s is very bad.
Yes, I think one of them would have been better off spiking the ball in the dirt every play under pressure.
And I will say something we actually also didn't mention is if the Bengals just traded for Flacco, he's been in Europe for 2 weeks. So there's going to be some jet lag there, I would imagine, right?
He might have just enough days. I assume they got back already.
Or Europe for a week, I guess, yeah. Yeah, I guess maybe he'll have enough time to, like, reload.
He got,
because they just played the Vikings in UK, yeah.
We'll have, 5 days to get back to Central Time.
I mean, he could probably commute, right? From Cleveland to Cincinnati? Like, was probably 3 hours, 2 hours? I mean, He can probably just make the drive.
You mean not even
not even move his stuff,
like move his stuff.
I mean, if you get traded mid-season and like you live in Cleveland and you're playing in Cincinnati, I mean, it's not that far. I don't know. Sorry, continue.
But then if we look at not under pressure, but more generally, Flacco is 28th in passing grade compared to Browning at 36. So he's a little better there.
Yeah, a little better,
but still bad. But the funny thing that I was thinking, okay, what's going to be different stylistically? I was expecting we're going to have like Flacco chucking the ball way downfield because, not this year.
No, he hasn't been.
His average depth of target is only 7.5, 28th. Browning's been throwing a little further at 8 air yards per throw. So it's unusual for Flacco. His career average is 9.0. So is this low ADOT a function of the wide receivers they've got of the Browns, and he'll go back to just heaving it downfield? That's something to keep an eye out on.
But yeah, I feel like the big difference is just like Browning is more willing to create with his legs. Like I think we were looking at it earlier, and like he has like 40 yards rushing, and I don't know if Flacco was even listed because I don't think he's ran at all this season. I mean, Flacco is 40 years old. He is a statue back there. And that kind of plays into, I have some stuff on the offensive line, or is there anything else that you wanted to mention about, them particularly in their numbers?
No, the main thing is that they've both put the ball in harm's way. Mm-hmm. Neither one's been efficient.
Yeah,
I mean, Flacco doesn't take a whole lot of sacks. He gives us like, I'm just getting rid of it.
Yeah, and he'll get rid of it. Yeah, and so like I will say, it's interesting because Browning's pressure to sack rate is actually worse than Flacco's, even though you'd think like Browning is more mobile and able to escape better. Flacco is just like not taking sacks at as high of a rate. It's like Browning's is like 16.4% according to PFF, which is like 20th highest, and Flacco's is 12.9%, which is 27th. So like neither of them both of them are decent at like avoiding, turning pressures into sacks. Flacco's been a little bit better, even though he is very statuesque. But either way, like my first thing was just that their offensive line versus our pass rush should be a massive advantage for us. We should be able to crush in like obvious passing situations against them, because the Bengals right now are allowing the 8th highest pressure rate in the NFL and the 3rd fastest time to pressure. So like not only are the pressures happening a lot, they're happening really quickly. So Micah should be able to feast. I would love to see Gary and LVN bounce back after Gary had 0 pressures against the Cowboys and LVN had 2, according to PFF. They really need a bounce back. And then you had something about their like adjusted sack rate on offense, like Cincinnati's compared to Cleveland's. Like, because like Flacco, I think we can agree that the Cleveland offensive line is better than Cincinnati's. So it'll be maybe a bit of an adjustment for him moving to Cincinnati's O-line, right?
Yeah, I think he's and the time to pressure is, I think, the thing that's really gonna be the big difference.
Yeah, for him. Like that internal clock is, and I think you had a number on Cincy's O-line versus Cleveland's O-line that like was interesting and like maybe might like result in Flacco having a tougher time in Cincinnati than in Cleveland.
Right. So there's this idea that the situation in some ways is worse in Cincinnati than what he had in Cleveland. The adjusted sack rate given up by Cleveland is at 8.3%. So they're 14th from the bottom, from the worst team in the league. Well, Cleveland was, in the top 10 in giving up the lowest adjusted sack rate of 5.5%.
Mm-hmm.
So a big difference there in terms of how often, they're getting sacked, adjusted for the quality of the opponent. And so,
we should be able to dominate that matchup. That should be a massive, like if we can get a lead, we should be able to tee off and just completely take advantage of that situation. And like there should be no excuse for the pass rush should dominate in this game.
I want to see the Bengals offensive lineman say, Joe, run.
Joe, run.
He's going to be like, wait, are you kidding me?
He's like, I can't do that anymore. Actually, I'm 40 years old. Thank you, though. But no, I will say it is a tougher situation for Flacco in terms of the offensive line than in Cleveland. However, the weapons are much better. And so I this is like my other like big thing in this game. Like this is how if we lose this game, it's because Jamar Chase and T. Higgins take over. And so I have some like questions, some thoughts, and like it's really just like their receivers versus our corners. And so like I'll start with our corners. We were playing great for 3 weeks. Through 3 weeks, we were allowing a 58% completion percentage between Valentine, Hobbs, Keyshawn Nixon, and Javon Bullard were the 4 guys I was looking at, because Bullard's been mostly playing in the slot, even though he's listed as a safety. So through 3 weeks per PFF, we were allowing a 58% completion percentage and 4.25 yards per target, which is like great. And then against the Cowboys, everything fell apart. And Nixon, Hobbs, Valentine, and Bullard combined to allow 17 catches on 23 targets for 214 yards, which is a 74% completion percentage and 9.3 yards per target. So anytime Dak threw at any of those guys, they were almost getting a first down. Like every single time they threw at one of those guys. And that is scary going into a game where you're playing Jamar Chase and T. Higgins.
Yeah, though that's not per reception.
Not
That's
per reception.
Anytime
the ball was thrown in their direction, it was almost a first down, which is like
those
really, really
highly
bad.
Flammable numbers.
Yeah,
for
and so it's like, which is real? Are we the corner group and the secondary group that we looked like for the first 3 weeks, or were we the one that looked like, how we looked in Dallas? And like, it's also tough because Dallas was running the ball so well that we had to bring another man into the box, which turned into a lot of single high, coverage. And so the corners didn't have as much help. And so that was probably part of the problem. But I mean, Jamar Chase is going to be a problem in this game. Like, he was, I think, the quietest. Like, hey, he won the Triple Crown last year. And I feel like no one talks about how he won the Triple Crown last year because the Bengals were awful. Like, I get it. But like, he led the league in yards, receptions, and touchdowns. Like, that is not normal. That does not happen very often. And despite the turbulence at quarterback for the Bengals this year, he's still top 20 in yards per route run. He's still ridiculously dangerous with the ball in his hands. He's 5th in the league in yards after catch and 3rd in the league in yards after catch over expectation. It's going to be really interesting to see if we can tackle him. Carrington Valentine particularly, like, sir, I'm really going to need you to really line him up and tackle him, and everyone's going to need to rally to the ball, because I do think, like, and I'll talk about this when we talk about like our like overall thoughts on the game. The key to the game is going to be make them matriculate the ball down the field and do not allow explosives, because I don't think their offense can put together a 10-play drive. Obviously, famous last words. Now they're going to do that like 5 times against us. But I think the only way they're really going to put up points is they hit like a 50-yarder to Chase, or like a 40-yarder to Higgins, or like a 60-yarder like catch and run to Chase. Like, he just catches the ball and breaks 3 tackles and he's gone. And so I think it's going to be huge to limit those explosives. And Higgins has had a slow, start to the year, I would say. And like a lot of that has to do with the quarterback play and like the, up and down turbulence of like they have Burrow and then they have Browning, and it's like kind of all, it's chaotic. But they are like using him a lot more as a deep threat. His 13.6 average depth of target ranks, 21st in the league, and it's the highest of his career. So they're targeting him downfield more than he's been targeted downfield before. And so that's like another thing where it's like, we just need to not get beat over the top and rally and tackle. And like, I am concerned because we did not do a very good job of that against the Cowboys. We need to bounce back after the bye and really make sure we do that.
Yeah, I think the big thing is really going to be how much we can pressure so that they don't have as much time to sit back there and throw. And so everything is going to be, they have to force them to make all short throws. And when the throws are shorter,
but Chase is the kind of guy where he can take like a 4-yard, like ADOT and like, but just like turn that into massive explosive plays.
The help is closer to rally and tackle.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. But he is the type of player where like, he's so dangerous with the ball in his hands. Like, and I am concerned about our corners specifically.
About Carrington Valentine trying to tackle him.
Exactly. I'm concerned about specifically Carrington Valentine. I guess the big one, like trying to tackle him. Cause like, I have faith in our like Evan Williams and McKinney tackling. I have faith in Keyshawn tackling. I have some faith in Hobbs tackling. Like I just haven't seen enough of it yet. But Carrington Valentine's like the one where it's like, okay, like, sir, you're really going to need to lock in right now.
So yeah, who is he covering? Higgins or Chase?
That's tough. because I don't. I think Higgins. I mean, if I had to pick, it'd be Higgins. But like, yeah, I think it's gonna be. I mean, they're not gonna. They don't travel the guys, so it's gonna be both.
But yeah, it'd be both. But which are you more worried about?
I'm more worried about Chase because Chase is better. Like that's what I'm more worried about.
Fair.
But yeah, so that's something I'm concerned about. What was your next thing that you were looking at?
So speaking of flammable defenses, the Bengals pass defense, according to RBSDM, they are 24th in dropback EPA per play and 26th in dropback success rate. According to NFL Pro, they are 29th in QB pressure percentage and 23rd in time to pressure.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't get there often, and they get there slowly.
Other than that,
and they also give up the 5th worst average separation to receivers, according to NFL Pro. So their pass rush is getting there slowly, and they can't stay tight with receivers.
The only concern I have, really, is like Trey Hendrickson, and the last time we played an elite pass rusher, Myles Garrett, he totally, like, Jordan, run! Like, that's my concern, is like, what is the plan for Hendrickson, and are we able to execute that plan?
Yeah, one thing, we talked about this after the Browns game. I was surprised at how little Chris Brooks played to pick up blitzers in the backfield. And I wonder if we will see more of that. I mean, I don't know if the double teams on Garrett were very effective in that game, and then they didn't really have their best blitz pickup guy in the backfield.
I will say, I feel like Jacobs has been, like, he has looked better in pass protection this year than last year, I feel like.
Yeah. But the other thing is, we may never be forced to be in gotta-throw situations.
That's the hope. I mean, how's the run defense? How's that looking? I saw you had that
jump
written
into
down.
that next?
Yeah, sure.
That's my last thing. Yeah, so their Bengals rushing defense, they're 26th in EPA per rush and 26th in rushing success rate given up for RBSDM. They're also 26th in rush yards over expected per attempt given up. And per FTN Fantasy, they are dead last in adjusted line yards given up.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
they give up and so here's one thing I was like digging through on FTN Fantasy. I like a lot of different, I like the data there and how much you can.
Yeah, they got good stuff.
In yards per attempt to outside zone runs, they give it the 9th most. And so Green Bay is kind of in the middle of the pack in terms of frequency of outside runs versus other kinds of runs, but it might be the type of run we see more of.
We might need to spam that.
Yeah. We might want to spam that, because that's where Cincinnati has been the worst. And so we might see that kind of run used.
I mean, I would love a game where we just run the ball control, don't need to worry about it. We're up like 2 scores, and we run in a touchdown for like up 3 scores, and we just take those 8-minute drives
effectively, as opposed to 2 1-yard runs, and then we have to throw.
I mean, the run game has not been good outside of the game against the Cowboys, and it was like, even that game was like fine. It wasn't like elite or anything.
It got better as the game went on, I felt like.
Well, I was saving this for a rapid fire question, but since we're talking about it, I just wanted to ask you about Emmanuel Wilson's usage and what your thoughts on that were.
Ooh, he looks good.
Well, he went from 5 snaps against Washington to 16 against Cleveland to 25 against Dallas. And you might say, well, that Dallas game went to overtime. Of course, there are going to be more snaps, and that's like a fair argument. But I think most notably, he went from 4 snaps to 15 snaps in the passing game. So like, he was not a factor at all. Like, they pretty much weren't playing him on like passing downs. And then against Dallas, they played him on 15 of those. And part of that, I think Jacobs was getting looked at on the sideline for a little bit. But what are your thoughts on Wilson's higher usage? Do you want to see him used more? Do you want to see him used in the passing game more? What are your thoughts on that?
His running looks good as
he's
well.
He's a good player.
He gets a lot of yardage. I should look at what his yards over expected are. But he does look good picking up extra yardage out there. He does not get stuffed
and
very often.
He's not a dynamic like route runner out of the backfield. He's not amazing in pass protection, but like, he does a pretty good job of like getting more than is there on those like dump offs. Like, I don't think he's like the type of like player in the passing game where it's like, oh, we're gonna motion him out of the backfield and put him in the slot, and he's gonna do that. Like he's gonna try and run a Texas route out of the backfield or anything like that. That's not really his game. But like he does a pretty good job of catching the check down, like squaring up the first guy, making him miss, and like getting like 5 to 6 yards. And like he actually did even more than that in the game against Dallas. But so I don't know if necessarily he's going to be like a passing game staple, but like he can do a little bit with the ball in his hands.
Yeah, he has some skill there. And his actually rush yards over expected per attempt is better than Jacobs or Brooks.
Yeah. I mean, he's good with the ball in his hands. And like, I think part of that is like small sample size. And also he has fresh legs when he does play. Like, we're not saying he's better than Jacobs, but I do think mixing him in is like helps the health of the run game a little bit more. Just like not putting as much on Jacobs' plate, having a bit, because it's interesting because like for Matt LaFleur's almost entire career in Green Bay, he has like had a like pretty split backfield, and then like this to start this year it was like all Jacobs.
Yeah, and I think the thing is they the beginning of the year they were using Brooks more.
Yeah,
because he had some good.
But he's just not as good.
It's just a very different player.
He is a like glue guy. I don't think he does much for you in terms of like, honestly, I don't love him as a receiver or like a runner. I like him he's okay as a receiver, and he's a great like pass protector, like stuff like that. But I just don't think defenses have to account for him really.
No, I think that's fair because, but that's why I say he's like offers a very different skill set than anybody else, and so it's kind of a specialized role.
And obviously, he's also great on special teams as well, like all that stuff.
Yeah, but we may have started seeing less of him because they wanted to get Wilson more involved.
And it's been good so far when he has played. And I mean, he ran the ball well against Dallas, and I'd be interested to see if they use him, as much, going into this game. The last thing I wanted to touch on is kind of we talked about it a little bit when we were talking about the the Packers working out defensive tackles, but like, how does the interior defensive line look without Wyatt for like the whole game in this game? We talked about it when we broke down the Cowboys game that we really got ran on by Dallas, but specifically up the middle. They had a 57% rushing success rate on inside runs compared to a 41.7% rushing success rate on outside runs. So they ran it much better up the middle than they did, to the outside. I'm just interested to see how we break down the snaps without Wyatt, because Stackhouse has struggled in a larger role in that game against Dallas specifically. He was by far the lowest graded player on defense per PFF, and that's like lower than the corners, who we already mentioned got 9.3 yards per target, like dunked on their head. Like he was lower than they were grading. Like Justice Mosqueda at JUMOSQ on Twitter posted a cut up of Stackhouse's pass rushing snaps. Did you see this?
I think I heard it referred to.
He is just getting stonewalled on like no movement at all on any of these snaps. Like I just don't think you can play him on passing downs. And so I wonder, you were wondering whether or not we see like Warren Brinson active for the first time this game. I would imagine so. I would be shocked if he wasn't active. I guess it depends how much he'll end up playing, but I'd be shocked if he wasn't active, right?
Oh, I think, yeah, if Wyatt isn't active, he's active. And I think they've had Stackhouse active and not Brinson because Stackhouse has a different role than Brinson does.
Yeah.
They have like 3 guys in front of Brinson. But then when they had an injury mid-game, it's like, oh, well, I guess we got to put Stackhouse in this role that he's not suited for.
Yeah, and I wonder if we see maybe some more Van Ness at D tackles. So these are the snap counts per PFF from week 4. Wooden played 46 snaps, Brooks played 40 snaps, Stackhouse played 27, and LVN played 5 snaps at D tackle. I think we need to take like 10 snaps off of Stackhouse's plate and split them between Brinson and LVN and just play any obvious passing down. I think is just like we should run the cheetah package, which is like LVN, Gary, and Parsons, and I guess have Brooks as the D tackle in that situation and only play 1 D tackle. Because otherwise, like, I don't see like a second D tackle that like can really impact the game, like on passing downs.
No, I agree that's their best pass rushing package they have now, unless they also, and then, mugging Cooper and Walker up in the gaps, and
honestly, even if I just don't think. I wonder what Stackhouse's role is, because it's not like he's been electric as a run defender either. Like he's been fine, But like if you're like an okay run defender and like unplayable on pass downs, I just wonder if maybe over time we see Brinson get like an opportunity there. I don't know. What do you think?
I think run defender is like his only real
But
role.
like it's not like he's super like it's not like he's like elite at that. Like he's fine.
No, he's not. He hasn't been elite at it so far. I think it's just more that he's like got the only body type for a nose tackle in the team, and so they've been trying him out at it, but it has not worked out great so far. This is, I think, if there's, well, it's somewhere between like a real run stuffing nose tackle or another corner. If the Packers are going to make a move before the deadline.
Yeah, it's going to be definitely something to keep an eye on. I will say also, like, there just aren't that many of those guys available, you know?
Well, yeah, I know. I'm just dreaming that somebody good will come available for some reason and a team gives up on the season.
I mean, I guess we'll see. Any other, key stats you wanted to take a look at, or should we move on to, I have like one more rapid fire question I had for you.
Why don't you go on with the other rapid fire question? I think I got through my 3 things I had prepared.
Okay, so the question I
can make up some stuff on the fly if you want.
I bet you can. Oh, I was going to ask you also, we forgot to mention, there was like a rumor going around that the Packers were like talking about possibly extending Dobbs. Any thoughts on that?
I was a little surprised. I heard it as well.
Were you surprised? I mean, he's by far their best receiver.
He's been playing
like,
great.
Easily their best receiver.
I just don't know how they can shoehorn it in there.
There's always money in the banana stand, as they say. Like, they'd find a way.
But he has been playing great. It's the best football of his career, I'd say.
But like, you can say that. But also, he was probably their best receiver last year. And like, he was probably their best receiver the year before that, maybe even too. So like, it's like, I mean, I guess Reed maybe in 2023 was their best receiver as a rookie. But last year, I would say Dobbs was probably their best receiver also in like the games he played. And I don't know. I just think that he seems to have a connection with Love that like that Love does not have with the other players on the team. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's part of it. I think especially when you get down near the end zone.
I mean, he's an animal. He's a beast.
Dobbs' way on every trip.
And also, I mean, Dobbs pays it off more often than he doesn't. Like his ability to, the way he's able to play off like the fade ball, which is generally not a like great, call at the goal line, but he's pretty good on the fade. And the way he has turned like his ability to play that fade into like, guys are so scared of that he's able to then cross their face and win on those like quick inside like slants. Like he is so good at the goal line right now. Like he is so good at the goal line.
Yeah, he was winning very quickly, which is what you need when you're there and it's.
I mean, he's been the go-to guy on third. He's been the go-to guy on third downs. Like he was great in that Cowboys game. I mean, they had the deep shot to him against the Lions as well. I mean, he's been really good, and I would be interested just to, depending on what the number was at. Like he probably wants 20, which is like maybe a little high.
Yeah, and I mean, that's the thing is like, and if you compare him, I heard somebody listing off some names, Wild Rule 20. They're saying, "Oh, he's not." It's like, no, he's as good as those guys. It's like 5 or 6 guys making 20. It's like, no, he's as good as those guys.
Well, I guess the counter argument is any receiver in this offense like that important when you spread the ball out that much, like, and you run this much? Like, I guess is like the question,
right? Because everybody's only getting a small share of the pie, no matter what. Yeah. So I'll just look at the numbers. So Dobbs is leading the team in first down catches, one ahead of Tucker Kraft, and he's got the best passer rating when targeted for wide receivers. Kraft is actually a little higher than for all pass catchers when targeted. I mean,
Dobbs is 4th in the entire league amongst all pass catchers in EPA per target. Like qualified receivers, like who have enough catches. But like Tucker Kraft is actually 2nd. But it goes Kevontae Turpin, Tucker Kraft, Amon-Ra, Romeo Dobbs, like DK Metcalf, like et cetera, et cetera. Like in terms of the usage that he's getting, like he could not be doing much more with it.
Yeah, and he is leading the team in contested catches with 8. The next closest is 4.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he's it's crazy because like coming out of Nevada, he wasn't like that wasn't really his game. He was more of like hey, he's gonna run deep posts for you. Like that's like gonna be his thing. Like he's gonna be like a deep threat on those like deep in breakers. And then like he's just turned into like a jump ball monster, which is like kind of a fun development. And then the other interesting thing I was gonna ask you is like Matthew Golden, 14th in the league in EPA per target. Any thoughts on that? Which I think is very interesting given that he doesn't even have a touchdown.
I just want him to start featuring him more and more. I mean, he keeps. And
he does good things with the ball in his
really
hands.
Big plays. Let's imagine if he had they connected on.
And I've been impressed with like his ability to make the first guy miss as well, like on some of like the design touches they've given him. Just
and his
don't
hands look really sure.
I mean, that 4th down catch like against Dallas, that was like a gotta have it in overtime. Like you lose the game if you don't like get this. Like they went to him. And like he in traffic made a really nice catch, and then just don't field the punt and spin right into a linebacker screaming down the field at you.
Get lit up.
Yeah, I mean that's like one of the biggest hits of the year. I can't believe he popped right back up. Like I would have been part of.
They were
field.
Talking about that with the next play where he's like carried the ball.
Yeah,
he went
backwards a little bit. Yeah,
like, okay,
yeah. I was like,
are you really okay?
Take him to the tent. Let's get the independent spotter in this one. But no, yeah. So thankfully he was okay there. But yeah, just don't do that, please, Golden. That was a scary moment. But anyway, I guess we will transition into the end here. Bottom line, Dad, Green Bay wins if blank.
If the pass rush gets to Flacco or whoever's at QB, they're going to win the game.
I would hope so. Mine is the Packers win if we don't give up explosive plays. Like if we make them matriculate the ball down the field and like slowly march, I think we will be able to force a negative play ourselves or like force a turnover. Like the thing is like just don't let Jamar Chase and T. Higgins like get those big 50 to 60 yard touchdowns because I think that's like the way the Bengals stay in the game in terms of like them scoring. Score prediction.
And don't give the ball away to them.
Yes. Also, like, don't let Trey Hendrickson like dominate the game and like get like 2 forced fumbles. Like, yeah, don't make mistakes on offense either. That would also be important.
I would also like to see us start forcing more turnovers.
Yeah, I think those will come. Like, I think that's just noise.
How about now?
Fair enough. Score prediction. What do you got, Dad?
I have Green Bay winning 30-13. So I guess I have them covering.
I guess you do. I got Green Bay winning 24-14. So I think we win, but don't quite cover.
I'll be happy with that if it's 24-7 and they score a garbage time.
The backdoor cover.
Touchdown. Yeah.
I mean, I'd be fine with that. But anyway, any final things you wanted to throw in here, or should we call it a day?
I just want to have a game that is stress-free.
I mean, don't we all? But anyway,
last weekend was stress-free.
That's true. By definition, it would have to be. But anyway, thank you again so much for listening. This has been the Father Son Packers podcast, previewing the Packers Week 6 matchup against the Cincinnati Bengals. If you like what you heard here today, subscribe, whether that's Apple, Spotify, YouTube, or all three. Tell a friend, tell a stranger, leave a comment, leave a review, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Follow us on Blue Sky at Father Son Packer for updates on Packers news and when we put new episodes out. But that'll do it for us. And so until next time, go Pack Go.
Go Pack Go.